In this module on pricing, we're going to cover some of the more common tactics. And there are a number of tactics once you've set a list price that often will lower the price. And there's a number of different discounts, allowances, and you can even use things like coupons and rebates. So let's take these one at a time, starting with quantity discounts. I told you that the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, has a lot of control over marketers. Let's go to the FTC website and look at price discrimination, Robinson-Patman violations. And let me go down to the detail here. There are two legal defenses to these types of alleged Robinson-Patman violations. One, the price difference is justified by different costs in manufacture, sale, or delivery. For example, volume discounts. Or two, the price concession was given in good faith to meet a competitor's price. Now, we're focusing on the price difference is justified by different costs that can lead to things like volume discounts. But the key thing here is you have to be able to show how selling in greater volume lowers your cost. And that's very, very easy in certain jumps. For example, it would be relatively easy for me to show how if I sold one bottle, well, my costs are going to be more than if I sold 12 bottles together in a case. So it's very, very easy to show how if somebody will buy a quantity that's a whole case, you can offer them a per unit price that's a little bit less than a case, because you're going to have some savings from putting everything together in the case. Similarly, if I put a whole bunch of cases together and strap them on a pallet, I can probably show how my costs are going to be lower because I'm selling in that greater quantity, that full pallet quantity. Or I might completely load an entire container with pallets of the same product, and I can show how my costs are going to be a little bit less because I'm selling in that quantity. But once I've gotten to a unit of measure like a container, it would probably be hard for me to explain how if somebody buys 2 containers, my costs, per unit are any less than if they just bought 1 container. You do need to be able to justify your lower costs when you're giving someone a quantity discount that is supposedly based on your lower costs as a result of selling in that quantity. Next up are cash discounts, and this is for paying early. The most common invoice term is net 30. What that means is net 30 days. If I give you an invoice for, and let's just make the math real simple, $500, and the invoice is dated November 10th, what I'm saying is, okay, 30 days is when this is due. So pay the net amount of this invoice within 30 days. So December 10, you need to pay the $500. But some people kind of drag their feet and don't get it done right in time. So what's often done is they'll give a little inducement for paying early. Okay, here's your terms, 2% 10 or net 30. What this means is, and let's stick with our $500 invoice that was dated November 10. Yeah, you can pay me $500 in 30 days, the net amount of the invoice in 30 days, or you can take a 2% discount if you pay it within 10 days. So if you pay it by November 20, that's within 10 days, don't pay me $500, take 2% off of that. 2% of $500 is $10, so you only need to pay me $490. That's an inducement or an incentive for paying early. You probably heard the term, the check is in the mail. Unbelievably, still in the United States, many, many, many companies still pay their invoices, their remittances, by check, not via electronic funds. Let me just read from a recent study. Payments optimization, the combination of electronic payments and the automation of remittance information, can help companies reduce costs and gain better visibility and control over cash. Yet today, many U.S. businesses continue to make the bulk of their disbursements by paper checks. And so an incentive to get them to pay early is this cash discount, this 210 net 30. Another discount are so-called functional discounts. Now, this is for performing a non-promotion function like distribution or warehousing. You're really paying them for doing something that otherwise you would have to do. Another kind of discount are seasonal discounts, and these are only in instances where the industry sales are very, very concentrated in a relatively small amount of time because it's a seasonal type of product. For example, if we manufacture skis, the great majority of skis are going to be bought in the late fall, early winter, in advance of the ski season. Or the same thing for tennis rackets prior to tennis season, or fishing poles, prior to, the outdoor season, and so on. But what we want to do is we want to give incentive for our customers to take it in, even though they're not going to sell it through for a while. And so we'll offer them a seasonal discount. Hey, those skis, buy it anytime, take delivery of it, we'll book the sale, but you don't need to pay us until November 1st. That's an incentive for our resellers to take those goods in advance of the season. It helps us smooth out production and distribution, but it doesn't penalize them by making them pay for inventory that they're going to be sitting on for a while. Promotional allowances are for doing specific promotion components. These would be things like ad allowances for including in your ad, or a price reduction allowance for a TPR, a temporary price reduction, or perhaps a display allowance for putting up a secondary display of something. Coupons, well, you know what coupons are. They're for getting an immediate discount, whether it's a 50-cent coupon or a $2 coupon or whatever. The customer that has the coupon takes the coupon to the store, gives it at checkout, and they get the discount right then. Now that's different than a rebate. A rebate is a discount after the fact. Rebates tend to be for much bigger dollar amounts. Here's $50 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 tires. One major difference between coupons and rebates is coupons are instantaneous. Rebates are after the fact. You've got to mail in the information and then wait to get your check. Well, nowadays there are some things that are called so-called instant rebates, where it's all handled electronically. That's really a misnomer. An instant rebate is in fact an electronic coupon, but let's not worry about that. 0% financing, this is only in instances of big ticket items that are going to be financed. If ordinarily the person would have to pay an interest amount, but we bring it down to a very, very low interest rate, or perhaps even 0% financing, that in effect lowers the price of the item. And that, of course, is typically done in instances like auto financing. Last tactic to talk about is what's called geographic pricing, and this simply means that the price varies depending on where it is sold. Zone pricing, oftentimes companies will break the U.S. up into zones, and a flat rate is charged to customers in a given zone. Certainly anyone who's ever lived in Hawaii or Alaska knows all about zone pricing, because things are always more expensive in Hawaii and Alaska because they add on that extra freight cost. FOB origin pricing, the buyer absorbs the freight cost from the shipping point. So this is often called, FOB origin or FOB manufacturer. Freight absorption pricing, the seller pays for all or part of the freight. So with FOB origin or FOB manufacturer, the buyer absorbs the freight. So the title changes hand right there at the origin. Freight absorption costing, the seller pays for all or part of the freight. That's why freight absorption costs pricing is often called FOB destination pricing. So FOB origin, the title changes hands at the point of origin, and the buyer absorbs the freight. FOB destination, the title doesn't change hands until it gets to the destination, and the seller pays the freight. Those are the major pricing tactics to be aware of.